Hi, I'm live, and I didn't announce that I was going to do this live today. I just did it because tech support's working all day and he's going out on a date tonight, so he's not here to upload my video, and this way it will upload. So, if you catch the live, good. If you don't, you'll see that it went up, and I am going to talk today about runes but first, I have a little bit of housekeeping to do. I have a lovely gift to say thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a flower someone sent for my garden, and it's very pretty and it's hand painted. And I think it's a petunia. I'm not sure, but it's very, very lovely. And I wanted to give a big thank you for that. Now, runes. In the Norse traditions and their sagas and all their early stories were always, or it was an oral tradition society. And I guess when you have winter nights that are 24 hours, somebody telling a good story is a really important thing. Plus, I lived in communal housing and they shared those kind of stories and bonds. But we've all seen runes. You've all seen images of runes. This is actually a sheet, and I tried really hard, but tech support's not here, so I couldn't get this graphic onto my show. But this is the shapes that you'll see on the stones, and this is about the size a typical current rune stone set is made of, and this happens to be on green adventurine, which is for good luck. And there were, just like they call their alphabet, the Futhark, Futhark. And Futhark is really just the first 6 stones that are on that description. If you look at that top line, that's like the eye chart, that's the Futhark, that's the word. And I thought that was kind of funny because I don't know if you know this or not, but the keyboards on our computers are called QWERTYs, and that stands for QWERTY, which are the top 6 letters on our keyboard. And I thought, well, how weird. Centuries later, we can't come up with another way to name an alphabet that's set up a certain way. But we can't. And there were permutations of the runes. There was the elder runes, the earliest ones. They only had 24 characters, and that was from 100 to 800 Common Era or AD, depending on when you learned how to read time. Then there was the younger Furthuk, and that was only 16 characters, but by that time they'd assigned vowel sounds to their characters, so that's how they got around that. And then probably the runes you've seen most often are the medieval runes, which were the Anglo-Saxon ones that were across the Nordic or Viking areas as well as into England. They had 33 characters, and that's from like 1100 to 1500 AD. And then they faded away. The first runes were used not to tell a story or not to write a manuscript or none of the stuff like you learn if you learn any ancient Latin or Greek or any of that. The original runes were used to memorialize sites, and the oldest runes they have are actually on a like gravestone. It's commemorating something, and that's how they started, and then eventually they figured out we need to write some of this stuff down. So they wrote down. They're called the Norse sagas, and they're really interesting stories. I mean, they're about Odin and all those guys, but they also talk about a lot of human people that made changes and were part of their world and their culture. But probably one of the most famous stories that was passed down to us because of the runes was about Odin. And you'll recognize what's it's explaining if you know Tarot at all. It goes, I know I hung on that windy tree, swung there 9 long nights, wounded by my own blade, bloodied for Odin, myself an offering of myself, a self-sacrifice, bound to a tree, no man knows whether its roots ran. And then it goes, none gave me bread, none gave me drink, Down in the deepest depths I peered until I spied the runes. With a roaring cry, I seized them up, and then dizzy and fainting, I fell. Well-being I won, and wisdom too. I grew to take joy in my growth, from word to word that led to word, another deed, another deed. And this was written in 1200. And that, if in case you didn't catch it, he hung upside down on a tree for 9 days, and that's our hanged man. That's where the image of the hangman came from. It came out of that legend, and that legend came from Odin reaching down and creating the runes so that they could